It's always a pleasure being with those who are motivated and looking to the future. I think more than any time now, we need all of us to be looking forward, to be looking at how we can do and what we can do to improve tomorrow, because there is going to be a tomorrow. So I will stop there and leave it to you and everybody to come in.
You have had an impressive professional career also in this multilateral framework. Before the pandemic, what has multilateralism meant for you, both professionally and personally, and how did you assess its state? Because we weren't very happy with it before the pandemic started. Was that also your assessment?
Well, let me tell you that I've always wanted to work in public policy. And to me, if public policy is designed properly, to take into account different stakeholders, to take into account different sectors, to take into account whether it's policies related to fiscal, industry, trade, etc. If we are able to get our policy formula correct, we are able to create a better economy. We're able to enhance the welfare of people. So I always felt very passionate about this question. How can one do well in designing public policy and implementing it? And the institutions that existed that provided a sort of a platform for country experiences, for sharing different stages of development, because except for the pandemic, everything before that was not very novel. If you're looking at moving from socialism to capitalism, if you are looking at going from nationalization to privatization, all of these are experiences that countries have done in different continents. And to me, institutions such as the IMF, such as the World Bank, such as the United Nations, OECD, etc., this multilateral exchange is one which contains all these experiences. And experiences here include successes and include failures as well. And for anyone who's doing public policy, in addition to trying to do the right thing, what's even more important is trying to avoid the traps or the mistakes of other countries or of other circumstances. And that's why my passion for multilateral institutions, wanting to join an international institution early on in my career was something that I felt was definitely going to help me in this journey towards becoming a public servant, or actually sitting on the table of designing public policy for my country. So absolutely, I'm a believer in multilateralism. I'm a believer that no country is by itself, and even today, technology makes it more realistic that we are all connected. The pandemic made it even more that we are all connected. Someone who was infected in one country can affect someone else, and we all saw this happening. So the idea that we are by ourselves or we can just pull out, I think is one which might be a very short-term view, and I don't think that is something which is sustainable.
What do you think the effects of COVID-19 will be on the world? You know, what's going to remain, what's going to change completely? I guess everything to some extent.
I think what it changed completely is the ability of citizens to change. Mm-hmm. Who would have thought that people can work from home so fast, mm-hmm. and for so long? If any government was thinking of putting its people, the civil servants, I'm talking not about the private sector, I'm even talking about the government, that government can function by working from home, that was something unimaginable just 2 months ago. So I think what has changed fundamentally for all of us is our agility and ability to adapt, to change faster than we had ever imagined. Whether it's on education, whether it's on work from home, whether it's in terms of seeing your friends and not being able to shake their hands. So there's going to be a lot of work in terms of anthropology, our social behavior, and how a crisis such as this has pushed all of us into doing things faster than we have ever expected. And to me, as someone who believes in reforms, this just means that when you have a reform agenda and you are very strict about it, you can actually implement it because people can adapt. So I think that is that. If I'm always putting a positive spin on the crisis, because if we only get ourselves locked into negatives, we are not going to go anywhere. But I see this as one of the key elements of being winners. I mean, all of us in this are winners because our behavior has changed, and has changed so fast. And despite everything, the way we are doing our work today is actually quite productive compared to before. The amount of time we spend in transportation is less. The amount of time you spend when you get on a Zoom call for an hour, it is an hour well spent. Everyone speaks what they need. Everybody is doing things in order. So I think that is on the positive side. Of course, on the other side, there are implications when it comes to liquidity for different small and medium enterprises, for different businesses. Debt in general is going to be a big question, whether for households or for firms or for governments, because again, this happened so unexpectedly and so sudden. And every individual, every company, every government has ammunition to some extent. But again, what the path looks like and how fast tourism can return, how fast travel can return, how fast restaurants can start functioning, how fast you can go to the mall and feel comfortable. All of these, there's like a virtuous cycle of a chain that is just we need to regain that. So of course the implication in terms of economics, in terms of the social impact as well, because there are more vulnerable groups than others, and that might create more inequality. So these are real questions, and these are going to be what the multilateral system needs to actually address and think about quite fast.